Hey everyone, and welcome to day 13 on Learning Illustrator. And let us see first what we have learned in day 12. So, in day 12, we learned about various drawing modes. That is, I think we have three kind of drawing modes, which is draw front, draw back, and we have this draw inside mode. And after that, we learned about appearance panel, and it was a kind of very powerful feature that we have seen in Illustrator. And how can we create a variety of things using one single shape, only using different fills and different strokes. And after that, we learned about our graphic styles and graphic style panel. So if you have a certain kind of appearance and you want to save it somewhere and you want to load it in another file and all that thing, we have seen it how we can do it using graphic styles. Today, first thing we are going to learn is compound path, and then we will see about Pathfinder panel, and then we will learn about brush tool, and finally we'll end our video by learning eraser tool. So I hope you are ready for that. So let's go and get started. So the first thing we are going to learn today is compound path. Now, what is this compound path and how does it work? So to see that, let's jump into Illustrator and we will create a new file. So go to File, New, and again I'm keeping the resolution as 1920 by 1080 and click on OK. Okay, so the first thing I need is two concentric circles to explain this example. So let's copy this circle and we'll paste it at the same position by using Ctrl Shift V. And once we have our new shape pasted, we can scale it down, and while scaling we can press Alt and Shift key together so that it scales from all the directions. Okay, so I think this looks good enough. Now we have two concentric circles, and let's fill some color inside these. So I'm gonna fill, I think, purple, or should I go with, I think purple will be fine. Okay, so this looks good. Now the another color I'm going to use is somewhat like orange or yellow. Okay. Now we have black outline on both the circles, and we have a purple fill inside outer circle or the circle in the back, and we have yellow fill inside our upper circle or circle in the front. Okay, and one more thing I would like to add is having a background color on this artboard. Now you will not be able to change background color of a artboard itself. So instead of that, what I'm doing here is I will create a rectangle exactly of the size of my artboard. And once I have my rectangle, I can change its color to any color I want. Let's say for this one, we'll use a color of light blue, really light. I think this one is fine. Yeah, this looks good. Now this shape is on the top of our two circles. So to move it to the back of those circles, we can right click on this shape, go to go to arrange, and from here you can click on send to back. So once you click this, you can see that our rectangle is at the backmost position and our two circles are on the top of this rectangle. Okay, so now I can select these two circles and move it to the center. So there is a problem here. Whenever I click on this rectangle and I try to move my circle or try to move my cursor, you can see I'm moving the shape itself. So we might want to lock this shape now. So you can press Ctrl 2 on your keyboard to lock the shape. Now if I click and drag my mouse cursor anywhere on this rectangle or anywhere on the canvas, I will not be able to select the rectangle at the back. And now let's select our two circles and move it at the center. Now why am I moving it at the center? Because it has nothing to do with the functionality or anything, just because I want it to be at the center. It has nothing to do with compound path or any other functionality. So you can have your circle here, 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 doesn't matter. I'm just putting it at the center so that it just looks good. Okay, now we are going to apply compound path on these two shapes. Now instead of telling you how compound path will work and how does it behave and what all it does to your shape, let's just go ahead and apply it and we will see what will it do to our final shapes. So to apply compound path, you can select your shapes and then you can go to object. After object, you can go to compound path here at the third last sub menu, and here you have this make option. The shortcut key for this is Control 8. So either you can press Control 8 on your keyboard, or you can just go to Object, Compound Path and click on Make. Either will work fine. And so I'm gonna click here, and now you can see what has happened. My orange circle actually is lost now, and this orange circle has been used to punch a hole through my purple circle. So basically it will create a hole by using your front shape, and the hole will be created in your back shape. So that's what exactly has happened here. So this is one of the use of compound path. Now we can use it in variety of ways, and we'll see today how can we use compound path. But the important property for compound path is you can double click on this path. So after double clicking on any shape, you go into isolation mode. So yeah, it applies to any shape. Even if I draw a rectangle over here and I double click on this rectangle, so I go into isolation mode. Now I think we have covered it already, but when we saw it, we right clicked on the shape, and you can click on this also, isolate selected path. So when you click on this, the same thing happens. So either double click on the shape or right click on the shape and say isolate selected path, and you will go into isolation mode. Okay, so let's delete this rectangle for now. And here now, let's go into isolation mode. Okay, and once in isolation mode, I can click on any of the shape, the outer circle or the inner circle. Now, if I click anywhere on the inner circle, I'm not able to select it. So if you want to select the inner circle, you have to click on the path itself. So I'm pressing Ctrl Y to go into the outline mode. So when you are in outline mode, you can see that we have two paths over here, the inner circle, sorry, and the outer circle. So when you click on the inner circle path, you will be able to select the inner circle. But for the outer circle, you can click anywhere on this fill, so your outer circle will be selected. Now, why am I telling you to select the shapes? Because if you click and select the shape, then you can actually move the shape anywhere you want. And you can see that I am able to create a variety of designs using this only. So I can have a concentric circles, and even I can create two circles like this, and when I apply compound path on them, so I will get some kind of shape like this. And using multiply shape if you create multiple shapes of this kind and have a different fill on this on these shapes, then you will be able to create a variety of designs using this technique itself. Also, you have a freedom to click on the outer shape, and you can move your outer shape also. So yeah, that's how it works, and that's how you can go into isolation mode and make some changes in your compound path also. But so far what we have seen is, if I move this circle inside the bigger circle, then what result are we getting? Let's try and move this circle outside our bigger circle. So what I'm doing now is I will just click and drag this inner circle outside my bigger circle. So once I do that, you can see that I have both of these shapes independently now. So yeah, I mean, you can either do that, but that doesn't make any sense. You can just have a two separate objects. So yeah. Now what I want to show you here is, if I merge them or I intersect them at a particular point, now you can see that the part which was intersected between these two shapes is lost. This is an empty area. I can see my background color through it. Here I can see my background color through it, and even if I double click on this or right click anywhere in this center area, so you can see that it's showing me the general option which it shows on the canvas or anywhere on the artboard. But when I click on this purple area, you can see I'm getting options or a menu specifically for that shape itself. So this is an empty area, and that's how a compound path will work. If you have two shapes, then it will just create an intersection of those two shapes, and the part which is intersecting will be removed, and the part which is not intersecting will be saved. So if I move this circle completely inside this bigger circle, now the intersecting part is this inner area, and that is lost. So yeah, that's how our compound path will act in two shapes. Now you can have multiple shapes also. So since you are in isolation mode, you can just select any of these shapes over here. Let's say I select a star tool, and you can create more stars over here, And when I go out of this isolation mode, to go out of the isolation mode, either you can just click on this back arrow 2 times to go into the layer, or to go into your to jump directly onto a layer, or you can just double click anywhere on the canvas to go out of isolation mode. So again, to go inside isolation mode, you have two ways. To go out of isolation mode also, you have two ways. Okay, so what I want to show you here, that if I have created multiple shapes inside my compound path, and when I try to drag them above my merge shape, so you can see how it is behaving. So I can actually have a design like this, and this looks pretty good. But the only thing is I might want to delete these two shapes, and here I can remove the outlines so that I'll get a shape something like this. Now this area is empty. So you can change your background color to anything, and it will be reflected back to behind your compound path. So let's say something like this. So yeah, it will be, I mean, it will be a transparent area. So that's how you can even create more shapes inside your compound path also, and you can change your compound path in variety of ways. Furthermore, if I want to release this now, if I want to take all my shapes, because when you have made any compound path, then if you click and drag it, everything goes together. But let's say if I have made a compound path, and I want to release it again, I don't want this compound path, I want to make something else out of it, but I'm not able to get my shapes over here, because whenever I click, I get this entire thing. So you can actually release your compound path, but for releasing, you can again go to object, compound path, and this time you can see this release option is enabled. So when you click on this release, it will actually release all the shapes. The shortcut key for this is Alt Control Shift 8, and that's a lot of keys. So I would prefer to use just the menu option rather than pressing so many keys on my keyboard. So anyways, let's click on release here and see what happens. So here I have here something has happened actually. And again, let's just lock this shape. Okay, so background is locked, and when I select all of them, and let's have some fill inside this, sorry, stroke fill inside this, and a white one or a black one. Black one will look good. Okay, now you can see that I have all my shapes back, and there is no hole inside this outer circle. I have my inner circle back, and I have this star which I have created additionally inside compound path, and this circle which I have created. So all your shapes will be preserved like they were. The only thing is Illustrator will perform some intersection or plus minus operations on your shape to make it look like that some part of your shape is gone and some part is still visible. Now one more thing we can try is we can select, so far like we have seen how compound path works on two shapes, because initially when we created we have these two shapes only, but now we have this additional star. So let's select all of them and see whether we create, I mean, if we create a compound path again, do we get same kind of result that we were getting before, or will we get some other kind of result? So again, we can go to object, go to compound path and click on make, and you can see, yes, exactly, we are getting the same result which we were getting. So yeah, there are no changes. I mean, if you release your compound path and make it again, there won't be any changes. If it happens, it will be some kind of exception that I haven't seen so far. So yeah, feel free to experiment everything by yourself and see what kind of results do you get. Okay, so I think that's enough for the compound path. Now, the next thing we are going to see here is Pathfinder. So it's a panel actually, it's a Pathfinder panel, and it has a variety of shape modes and a few plus minus operations that will be performed on your shape. And everything goes in one single panel, and how does it work and all, we'll see it now. So to open the Pathfinder panel, you can go to Window, and from here you can click on Pathfinder. The shortcut key for this is Shift Control F9. So yeah, this time let's press Shift Control F9 on our keyboard, and here I have my Pathfinder panel open. Now again, it might come like this, so you can just drag and put it somewhere over here to dock it back to the panel bar. So yeah, now let's create few shapes to understand this Pathfinder options. Okay, so let's create two rounded rectangles over here. One is this one, and now I am pressing Alt key while dragging my shape so that I can create a duplicate copy of that shape over here. And we have some kind of stroke here. Let's make it 2 point, and for the fill we can have a decent color over here. Let's go with something like this, and maybe a little dark than this. Okay, this looks fine. Okay, so let me open my Pathfinder panel again, and here I have Pathfinder. Okay, and now here you can see that we have two kind of you can categories over here. Yeah, categories would be the right word. So we have two kind of categories here. The first one is called shape modes, and the second one is called pathfinders. Now all these are a sort of Boolean operations that will be like either it will subtract, or it will add up, or it will unite, or it will just divide, all these kind of operations. So like we have seen in general mathematics, except the only difference here is it will be applied on your shape. So all the calculations or all the operations which you have seen, like divide or sum or subtract and all that, we have seen on numbers so far, but here it's actually happening on shape. So you will be able to see it on a graphic or on a shape, how is it working. So I have four kind of shape modes here, and some, I think, six kind of pathfinder options. So we will go through all these shapes, shape modes and pathfinder option one by one. So let's go with the first one, which is called unite. So as soon as I hover over this icon, I get a tooltip, and here it says unite, and there it is written that alt click to create a compound shape. Now we already learned about compound path, so it will be easier for us to understand what is it actually saying. So to understand this option, which is when pressing Alt and we click on it, so for understanding that option, we need a duplicate shape, or we can just duplicate these two shapes over here. And what we'll do is on one of them, we will just have a normal click, and on the second one, we will press Alt and then click, because it says Alt plus click. So if you press Alt and click on this icon, then something else is going to happen. If you just click on this icon, then it will perform some different operations. I mean, not likely it will perform different operations. It's like it will perform same operation, but when you just click on it, it won't have any compound path information saved. But when you press Alt and click on this icon, then it will, your shape, your final shape which will be created, will have a compound path. Actually, I think I should just go ahead and use the option. So first of all, we will just have a normal click over here, and you can see what unite operation has does. It has united both our shapes, or you can say it has summed up the shape over here, and now we have a single shape which is like this. So yeah, I can go to isolation mode, and even further I can modify this shape. So yeah, that's how unite works. Now the second thing we are going to see is we'll press Alt this time, and we will click on this icon over here. So let us click, and now if I unselect this shape, you can still see that I am having same kind of shape. There's no difference at all. It's again a unite operation that has happened, or that has been applied on these shapes, and I mean everything looks same. But when I click on this, you can see that there are some kind of lines going on over here, which is not present in this shape. So what is this actually? So let us double click on this, and we will explore it. What is this? Now, like I said, when you press Alt and click on this icon, then it will maintain your compound path information. So this time it has created a compound path for us, except this time instead of punching a hole through your previous shape, this time it has mixed or summed up our two shapes together. So yeah, we still have both of these shapes like we used to have in our compound path operation. So it works the same way. You have a freedom to click on this shape and move it anywhere you want. And like I can move it somewhere over here, and when you deselect, you can get this kind of result. Again, I can just separate these two shapes, but this doesn't make any sense, because why would you even need a compound path when you have two different shapes? But if you are willing to do something like this, or if you're performing some kind of operations over here, then yeah, compound path make much more sense. So actually, let's say if you have your shapes over here, and while performing Boolean operations, you are not sure that is it going to change in future or not. Because once you operate or perform these shape modes or pathfinder options on your shape, you won't be able to get your shapes back. This is your final shape now. So if you are not sure that am I going to fix this shape, or maybe there are some changes in the, or maybe there will be some changes in your shape after you even apply this uh, shape mode operation. So just press alt and click on that icon, and it will you will be having your shape, different shape. So later on you can just modify it like somewhat like this, and according to your design. And once you are very sure that okay, this design is not gonna change anymore, you can click on expand over here. So when you click on expand, it will delete all that compound path information, and now your second shape is as same as the first one, where we just clicked and created the shape. So I hope that is clear to you. It's not a majority of difference, it's just a small difference that when you click, it will not save your compound path information. When you press alt and click on it, then it will save your compound path information, and you can make some changes in your compound path. And when you are sure that okay, this is done, you can click on expand by selecting this compound path, and there you go. I mean, so yeah, that's how this thing works. And when I hover over the other shape modes over here, let's say minus front or intersect or exclude, so it everywhere it says alt plus click, alt plus click, alt plus click. So yeah, it's the same thing for all the shape modes. You can press alt and click on any of this, and it will preserve your compound path. So for rest of these shape modes, I'm not going to cover compound path, because the final result will be same. It's just that your shapes will be preserved. So I hope that you understand it in this example itself. Also, you're free to you're free to experiment this uh, other option by yourself. It is pretty easy. I mean, you won't find any difficulty experimenting it by yourself. Okay, so I'm going to delete this second shape, and here if I hover over these options at the bottom, this pathfinder option, so you can see here I don't have any alt plus right click information. So yes, these options in the bottom will not work on will not work on compound path. It will just be a direct implementation on your object, and you won't be having your shapes or previous shapes in your after you perform any operation. Okay, so now we need these two kind of rounded rectangles again, but this is merged. So we have to delete this and create another set over here. So this looks fine. Okay, now for this four operation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this four times. So this is our first one. Again, I'm pressing Alt key while dragging to create a duplicate copy of this. And once I have a duplicate copy, I can press Control D two times to have another two copies of that. Again, at the bottom, I think we need six of them. So let's drag these four over here, and we'll bring them a little closer this time. So again, I'm using pressing Shift key and left right arrow keys to position them manually from my keyboard. And one, two, three. Okay, and again, I can just have a duplicate copy of this. Control D, Control D. Okay, here we have two shapes left, so just delete them. Again, I think we need some repositioning to have all of them in a single artboard. So let's just reposition them real quick. Okay, and here we go, and this last one. So I think they are evenly placed now, and if it doesn't, then I mean it doesn't matter much because we are not making any design. It's just for example. Okay, so upper one are for the shape modes, and the lower one are for the pathfinders. So now we'll select this set of shapes every time, and we'll apply different operation on all of them, and we will see how this operation works. So let's select these two shapes first, and we'll click on unite. And since we have seen this unite already, we know how will it work. So yeah, it has united our two shapes, or you can say it has combined our two shapes together, and the intersection part between both of them is common to this shape now. Okay, now select the another set of shapes, that is this two rounded rectangle, and this time I'm going to use subtract from here, or the another word for this is minus front. So what does it mean by minus front? So let's just click on it and we'll see. Just know that this shape in the front, this is, this rounded rectangle is in the front and this rounded rectangle is in the back. Or I think the front ones, for the front ones, I can color it in some different color so that we can call it a green rectangle, or yellow rectangle, I think. Green and yellow rectangle. This doesn't look exactly yellow, but I think we can still call it yellow. Okay, so now we have a green rectangle in the back and a yellow rectangle in the front. So let's say what minus front does now. So click on this, and so yeah, like the name says, minus front. So the front object will be used to minus the shape which was overlapping from the back one. So if I have a shape in front of any shape in the back, then you can see this was the part which was common between these two shapes, and actually this was the part which was overlapping. So this part got removed, and as well as our front shape is also removed. Also, I think I should have a background color so that we know a difference that which thing is gone and which is not. Let's have this kind of shape here and put it in the back. This time, instead of having a single fill, I'm going to use some kind of pattern so that you know it very clearly that it is not actually a transparent or opaque. You know the difference. Okay, let's have some colors like this. Oh, this is too dark actually. So we can go to some other pattern over here, decorative, and I think that looks decent. Now we can go to appearance panel, go to this fill and reduce the opacity to 40% and even less, I think 30%. Just that we know there's it's not plain white, and we can see that okay, this part is gone. And okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is we can lock this object in the back so that we don't move it accidentally. So press Ctrl 2 to lock this. Okay, and here we have a background ready, and now we can go ahead with further operations. Also, I might want to take out this Pathfinder window so that it doesn't close automatically by itself, and I have this window here all the time. Okay, so select this another set of shapes here, and this time we will see the option which is called intersect. So just click on this, and now you can see as the name says intersect. So let's undo and see a little detail about this one. So this shape mode actually will preserve the shape, or will preserve the area which is common between two shapes, or which is intersecting actually. So this is the area which was intersecting between both these two shapes, because this was the common area. Even the green rectangle has this area, and yellow rectangle has this area. So the common area of those two shapes will be preserved, and rest all will be removed. So when we click on it, you can see exactly that is what happening. Now it might be a little confusing because how is it working and how intersection operation happens. So again, it's just a matter of time. As you keep practicing, you will come to know that okay, this is how intersection works, and it will be much more easier for you to recall that which operation does what, and you won't be even needing to go to that option and see what exactly done. What exactly it does and all. Okay, so with our intersection operation clear, we can go to our next shape, and here we can use exclude operation. So this exclude operation is exactly opposite to intersection operation. So what do I mean by that? Let's click on this and we will see the difference. So I clicked over here, and here you can see that it has exactly done the opposite thing. So the part which was common between the two shapes is gone now, and the shape which was not common or which was uncommon is preserved. So here what happened was it preserved the shape which was common. Here in exclude, it deleted the shape which was common. So if I select this shape and I create a copy and put it somewhere over here, you can see it exactly fits through this hole. And That's how we can say that, okay, it's exactly opposite to the intersection. This exclude is exactly opposite to the intersection. Again, here you have your shape, so you can double click on this. Since you have two shapes over here, you can click and drag any of the shape the way you want, and it will work perfectly fine. And when you're like, okay, this change is looking good, so you can go ahead with something like this. So again, it depends on you what kind of design you want. So here we have covered all our shape modes, and I hope you understand it clearly. Now, there's one more thing, that the shape modes can work more than on two objects also. So like we experimented with compound path. In compound path, we added one extra star and we saw how it worked. So here also we can go ahead and experiment with different, I mean more than two shapes, and we will see how do they work with multiple shapes. Because with two shapes, it is very clear that what is the intersection between two shape, and for the minus front also, that front part will be removed and front object will be removed, and it will use the backmost object even to minus the part which is I mean interfering between both the shapes. And even the exclude, I mean just exactly opposite to intersect. But what with the three shapes? I mean, if I have three shapes, how will it work? So for that, let's create another example, or let's create three shapes first. So I'm just gonna move it a bit up. And here, instead of rounded rectangle this time, I will create three circles. So here I have three circles. Let's recolor them. So the backmost will be the green one. The second higher will be yellow. Let's make this yellow a little bright. Okay, and the top one will be in, what do you say? Should it be in orange color? I think orange looks good. Okay, so we have three colors or three circles now. The green, yellow, and orange. Green is the backmost one. The orange is the middle one, and sorry, yellow is the middle one, and orange is on the top position. So again, let's create four copies of this. Control D, and we have four copies. So for the first one, let's select all these three shapes, and we will apply unite operation on this. So if you click unite over here, you can see that it works exactly the way we thought. It just merged all the three shapes together and with a single fill, and this is my shape now. So even if I double click on anything, nothing happens. The only way to change it now is you can use your direct selection tool, and you can change the vertex or change the handles or anything you want to do. But yeah, the shape is fixed. I mean, if you want to change anything, then you can, I mean, you have variety of tools, but you won't be able to add any shape or extract any shape after you have done this unite operation. Okay, so with unite done, let's see the next one, which is minus front. So here we have our green circle at the backmost position, and this is on the front and this is on the front. So let's see, if I click on the subtract, so here we have achieved something like this. So it has used all the shapes which were on the front, or which was not, I mean, which are not at the backmost position. So this is at the backmost position. So it has used all the shape above it, and then it used all the shape to minus the part or to subtract the part which was interfering or intersecting with those upper shapes. Yeah, so it's also, I mean, it's very easy to understand, because either we put one shape or two shape above any shape. If you have one of your shape at the backmost position, that will be removed using all the shapes in the front. So even if I say I have these three circles and I put something over here like this, and this time if I select all these four shapes now and use subtract, so you can see here, even here I have a hole through this green circle. So yeah, that's how this minus front works. And this time let's select these three shapes again, and we will use intersect option here. So again, to understand intersect, let's zoom in, and we will find a common area between these three circles. So if I talk about these two circles, the common area is this one. Oh, I have this circle selected, sorry for that. So yeah, if I talk about this upper two circles, so this is the common area. And if I talk about these two circles on the left, this is the common area. And if I talk about these two circles at the right, so this is the common area for those two circles. But here we are talking about three circles together, not two individually. So we have to find a common area for all these three circles together. So it is very clear now, since we are in outline mode, we can see through the shapes that the common area for these three circles is this one. So my theory says this shape will be preserved and everything will be removed after I apply intersect operation on these three shapes. Let's see whether my theory is correct or not. So I'm gonna use intersect operation here, and here is the shape which we thought we'll get, and it's exactly what we thought. So yeah, my theory was correct because this was the only area which was common between these three circles and it got preserved. So what if we have three shapes but we don't have any common area between them? Let's say these shapes are like this. So there is no common area between these three shapes. So even I don't know what's going to happen. So let's select this three shape and again use intersect. And now we get the error message which says the filter produced no results. Please select two overlapping paths. So if we have multiple shapes selected together, you need to have some kind of overlapping going between all these shapes. Let's say even if we have if we have this fourth shape over here, and yes, there is overlapping between these three shapes, but the fourth one is not overlapping. So again we can select these four shapes, and if we use intersection, so again it shows the same error. So yeah, how many shapes you select, you need to have some kind of intersection going on between all these shapes. Now if I exclude this shape over here and now I perform intersection, so it works perfectly fine. So I hope that is clear to you that how intersection will work on multiple shapes, and here we have intersection performed. And one more thing I want to cover about subtract option or subtract tool also. So let's say if I have this kind of example would be a good one. So let's say I have these two shapes. Now for this minus front, I need to have one object above another, then only it will minus the part which was intersecting between these two circles. But here I have two shapes like this, so they are not colliding with each other at all. So now let's see if I go and perform minus front. So see, nothing has happened because the front object is removed as it says minus front, but since it doesn't get anything in the back side of it, so yeah, it says that okay, whatever was there in my backside of the front shape, I just removed it. But if there was nothing, then you have your shape like the original one. So that's how minus front works if you have no intersecting shapes. Let's see, there's no intersecting shapes with unite also. So when I click on unite with this, so I have one single shape. Now both of these are moving together. So if I double click on this and I move it even in a isolation mode, nothing happens. So these are two individual shapes. It is just like it's working as a group. So even you can ungroup it by pressing Ctrl Shift G. So here you have your group unlocked. So yeah, if you don't have any overlapping shapes and you are performing a unite operation, then it will just work as a like you are creating a group of those two circles. When you use a minus front operation, when you don't have any overlapping shape, so the object which is in front of it will be removed, and the backmost object will be as it is. Okay, and now let's see our next or last option in shape modes, which is exclude. So let's have some theory for exclude also before we perform this operation. So like we know, it's exactly opposite to the intersect. So intersect preserve this information. Now what should exclude preserve? Should it preserve all these three circles except this one? But according to my theory, it should not be like this. I think this shape will be there. I mean, this shape will be saved, but these shapes will be removed. I mean, this if I highlight these shapes over here. So I think if I apply exclude over here on these three shapes together, so these three shapes or these three areas will be removed, and all other thing or everything else in white will be saved. So why I'm saying that and how do I know? Because I have already done this kind of operation before. So that's why I know that this is gonna happen. But we will see the theory behind it once we apply the operation. So again, go into the preview mode and select all these three circles. And this time let's apply exclude. And okay, so that worked like exactly I said, and you have these three portions removed from here, and this center shape is saved. But it shouldn't be like this, because when we are talking about exclude, this area should be removed because it's exactly opposite to intersection. So from our theory or from our experience so far, this area should be removed at the center and rest everything should be preserved. So there is a little bit of mathematics going on here. So let's see how that mathematics is working. Okay. So one thing we know that exclude will remove the part which was common between these two circles. So for now, let us actually this time let's create compound path for this one. Okay. So we have compound path now. Now let's go into isolation mode so that we can move these circles. And here I will just move this circle outside, and you can see this exclude works perfectly like this one. So yeah, the common area between these two circles is gone now. And now if I put this circle which is not, which is not considered right now, if I put it somewhere over here, you can see, yeah, exclude is working perfectly fine. The common area between these two circles is also removed. Even if I put it somewhere over here, it is working fine. But now if I put it somewhere over here, you can see, yeah, this common area is being removed. But when I put it over here, then again I'm getting this shape. So why I'm getting this actually? Because again, if I talk about these two circles on the left, so this was the common area which got removed. If I talk about these two circles on the right, so this common area got removed. But here if I say there was nothing already, so I hope you are able to understand that there's nothing over here on while performing operation on these two circles. Illustrator already removed this part. So here if I move this circle on nothing, then I'm getting an exact circle. So that is what happening over here. When I put this circle somewhere over here, so it is intersecting with none. So if it is intersecting with none, then that means it is going to be saved. The shape or the part which is intersecting between two shapes will be removed. So yeah, it is kind of exactly opposite to intersect, but when you go and deal with multiple shapes, then it has its own theory, and actually the theory is exactly opposite. So I shouldn't be saying that the result you will get is exactly opposite to intersect. The theory you have between intersect and exclude is exactly opposite. The result might vary. So that's a good example to understand that you won't get an exact opposite result of intersect if you perform exclude every time. So I hope you understand that. Let me explain it once again to you, because if I take this circle and let's say I just scale it down this much, and now if I put somewhere over here, so it's the same thing, because there's nothing inside this, there's nothing outside it. So if I put anywhere over here, the operation will be that my shape will be preserved. But when I put it somewhere over here, you can see that it's colliding with shape now, and the collision part is removed. So that is what exactly happening over here. So I hope that is clear to you. Now I won't be explaining it after this. I mean much more after that, because I might confuse you even more. So I'm going to leave it right here, and if you're still not able to understand or if you're still confused, then I would suggest you just go ahead and create these three kind of circles, or you can just go ahead and create other shapes also and perform exclude. Start with two shapes, start with three, start with four, and keep going on to multiple shapes, and slowly, or as you keep using this operation, you will understand that how exactly it works. Okay, so I think that's enough with the shape modes. Now let's see some of the Pathfinder options over here. Okay, so for these options in the bottom, let's zoom in a bit. Let's just press Ctrl 0 to have a fit to screen window. Okay, so I'm going to select this first two set of shapes, and this time I will apply this operation which is called divide. Now again, for this bottom operations or this Pathfinder operations, you need to have some kind of fill in your shape, because for most of these operations like trim or merge, you definitely need to have some kind of fill. If you don't fill any color inside your shape, then the operation might not work like the way you want, or some of these operations will not work at all. So just be mindful about this. While using these kind of operations or while performing these operations, just be mindful that you have some kind of shape or shape fill, or you have some kind of color fill inside your shape. Okay, so with that said, let's use our first operation, which is divide. So when I click on it, you can see that I have another outline over here. So let's see what happened over here. So double click on this, go into the isolation mode, and I'm gonna click and drag this shape, click and drag this, click and drag this. Okay, so divide. So that's how it works. I mean, the part which was common between these two shapes, the rear rectangle or the front rectangle. So the part which is common between these two rectangles will also be considered as individual shape. So it will exactly tell you that what all intersections are going on, and it will just break those shapes or cut those shapes for you. And now you have a freedom to do whatever you want. Let's say if you want to make a minus front out of this, so you can just delete these two shapes and you have a minus front operation. If you want to make exclude operation of this, you can click and delete the middle one. If you want to make intersection operation, then you can click and delete this outside ones. So yeah, you can say that this is an advanced version of these all shape modes. But again, where to use it and how, how to use it, it's a question. It's still a question, because you, by looking at this all those operations, you might think that where can I exactly use it. But you have these options ready with you, and you practice all these options or shape modes, and when the time comes, actually you will be able to judge it very clearly that okay, here I should use divide rather than just using minus front, or rather than just using intersect or anything. So yeah, now let's see the next one, which is trim. So select these two shapes again and click on trim over here. And here something has happened. It has just removed the outlines of my shape. So is this what it was supposed to do, remove the outlines? But we don't know until we double click on these shapes and try to move these shapes, that what exactly happened. But before that, I want to recolor, I want to have my outlines back. So select these two shapes and let's fill some outline inside it. Let's have a black fill over here and make it 2 points. Okay. Okay, so let's go inside isolation mode over here and click and drag and click and drag. So you can see what it has done. This is like a kind of minus front operation which we learned here in shape mode, except our shape which was on the front, or this yellow rectangle is still with us, because in minus front it deletes the shape in the front. So here it has removed the part which was colliding with my front shape from the back shape, but it has saved my shape which was on the front. Now where we can use such kind of option? Actually, it's a good question, because here I can explain you where should you use this. Let's say you have a design, or you have a border going on through your design. Let's say this one, something like this. Let's say something like this, and then this kind of border. So for the outer one, let's say it is some white color. For the inner one, it is little gray, and for the inside one, dark gray. So you have something like this going on inside your design, and this is good. I mean, this looks good, and you can go ahead, save this design and export and use it anywhere you want. But the problem is, it's a slight kind of optimization, you can say, because I have this shape visible till this point only, the outermost shape. After that, this gray part comes, or this inner rectangle comes, and I'm not able to see this much shape which was inside. And I don't even need it actually, because it will be increasing my file size, or it will be consuming much more memory, because we have extra shape over here to deal with. Also, I have this rectangle which is hiding this part of the rectangle. So it would be better if I remove this part which is on the back, so that I can save my extra file space or extra memory of extra memory. So let's select all these three shapes, and we will use trim option over here. And now when I click, or you can press Ctrl Shift G to ungroup this shape. And now when I click and move, so you can see that it has exactly removed the thing which was hiding behind these two shapes. So that's how you can preserve some of the extra space, or preserve some of the memory. And again, it's all about optimization. So you can optimize your design, but there can be negative points also for this. Let's say you want to scale your design a bit. So if you want to scale this inner part like this, then you don't have any color fill over here because you just removed it by using the trim option. So again, if you're not sure that am I going to make any changes or will it be like this, then preserve your shapes the way it is. Once you are very clear that okay, this is fixed and final, and it has all kind of you receive confirmation from all the side and you are very sure that you are not going to change it anytime in the future, then just go ahead and use the trim option to delete some extra shapes or extra space which is which Illustrator is using again and again. Okay, so I think or I hope that is clear to you. Now, after learning trim option, we can go ahead and learn the next operation, which is merge. So again, I have selected these two shapes over here and I will use this merge operation. So again, it has removed outlines. So let's have our outline back over here. Let's say 2 points outline, and now if I double click on this and I try to move this shape, so it is exactly the same thing like trim has done. I mean, there's no difference at all. Let's go back again to trim one, here the second one where we have applied trim, and if I go inside you can see it's same thing. Then what is the difference between merge and trim option? Again, I can just prove myself by just going on another set of shapes, and if I use merge over here, you can double click and go over here and you can see it's doing the same thing. So what is the difference between this merge and trim? And actually when I started learning Illustrator, I got confused a lot between these two options and I didn't know what is exactly going on until I searched through the internet and went through variety of a number of websites, and then finally found the result that what is actually difference. So to show the difference between these two, let's undo till we have both our shapes independent. And this time I will actually create one more circle over here on the top of everything. And this time the color for this circle should be yellow. So let's select these three shapes together and we will use merge over here now. So when I select merge and I get my outline back by 2 points, so you can see how is it working now. So now if I go into isolation mode and click and try to move these shapes, you can see how actually merge works, and now you will be able to understand the real functionality of merge. So if your shapes are having same kind of color and they are above each other, then this merge will actually work as a unite. So it is like the unite operation is happening on same color graphics or same color shapes, and then it is work and it I mean then it is combining these shapes together which is having same color, and then it is using trim option for the shapes which are on the back. So let's say I can perform this merge operation in two different steps also. First of all, I'm going to select these two shapes and I'll use unite over here, and then I'll select these two shapes and use trim over here. So when I double click over here and I go, so you can see that it's exactly the same result which we got using merge tool or merge operation. So yeah, I hope you're able to understand or you're able to get that what I mean to say by the difference between the merge and trim option. Also for the trim, if you put the same circle over here and you apply and you try to apply trim, then you won't get same kind of result. Again, you are free to do this experiment by yourself. I mean, just note it down somewhere that after this video, I should try this, and just go ahead and try it with yourself and see how will it work, because it's just a software and it's open to experiment for all of us. So we shouldn't be restricted to just a single video and what I'm teaching or what I'm saying over here. You should be able to experiment it by yourself and make your own concepts and make your own theories by yourself. All right, so now after merge, we should go ahead and select or understand our next operation, which is crop. So select these two shapes and apply crop operation over here, and something has happened here. I have this shape which is preserved, but I'm seeing this shape also which is having no fill at all. So first of all, let's pick a eyedropper tool, click on any of this shape to pick its color, and now we will go to isolation mode, and then we will try to move this shape. So click and move, click and move. So you can see what kind of operation has happened. It has removed the shape which was on the back, and I I'm left with the shape which is in the front, but there is some kind of divide operation that has happened in the shape which was in the front. So yeah, it is a kind of divide, but this time my shape which was on the back is removed. So yeah, you can do same thing with divide also. I mean, you have your divide operation over here. So just go into isolation mode, delete the backmost part or the back object, and here you have your result which you will get using your crop option or crop operation. So yeah, I mean, there are always a workaround for a particular result. I mean, if you can achieve some kind of result by just using a crop tool or crop option, you always have another option available with you in a single software. You can just go ahead and just explore variety of other paths that will be available. Some of them might be really convenient, or some of them might be really time consuming. So again, it depends on what kind of option what kind of option you go through. But here we have learned the crop operation, and we have achieved some kind of result. Now the next operation we are going to see is outline option. So select these two shapes again, click on this outline icon over here, and here I have all those outlines removed. So outline operation doesn't mean that it will remove all the outlines. It has done something else, and we will see it what it has done. So let's again pick a eyedropper tool, fill some color inside this by clicking on any of the shapes around you, and I think green would be better. And now let's just go inside this and see what happens. So click on any of these shapes and remove and or drag it. So you can see that okay, something has happened over here. Click and drag, and again you can see that something has again happened over here and here also. So when looking at this, you might be confused that what actually happened after this operation. So to understand it better, we should remove the color from these shapes, and let's remove this color. So now you can see the intersection part and the part where these two rounded rectangles cross each other. So what outline operation does is it will break your shape from the point where there is some kind of intersection. So let's say there is an intersection over here and over here. So your outline operation will break your shape from these points. And how will it break? Let's see. So click and drag this shape, and you can see okay, from here it was intersecting with the another shape. So my outline is broken from here. The same apply to another shape over here, and for these shapes also. I mean, if I click it over here and click it over here, so you can see that this is how it breaks my outlines. If your shape collides with another shape, so wherever the collision is happening, it will Illustrator will break your shape from that point, and there is a separate path for all of the shapes then. Okay, so let's undo it back again till we have this kind of shape, and we have seen our outline option as well, or outline operation as well. Now let's see our last operation in Pathfinder, and that is minus back. Now it should be exactly opposite to minus front, because the name itself says this is minus front. So in minus front, the front object got removed, and it even removed the part which was colliding with that front object. But here what should actually happen? I think backmost object or the rear object should be removed, and it should remove the part which is colliding with back object also. So will it happen like this? Let's see it now. So just click on this icon, and that's exactly what has happened. So the shape which was in the back part, or the rear shape, is being used to punch a hole through my front shape, and it's exactly opposite to minus back. So yeah, this was pretty much clear, and this wasn't confusing at all, I think. Again, you can go ahead and try all these Pathfinder and shape mode options by yourself, and you'll be able to understand them better. Now the next thing is applying this kind of operation on multiple shapes, or if we have more than two shapes, then how Pathfinders will work. So I'm not going to cover that part now, because I think shape modes were more than enough to make you understand that how will it work with multiple shapes, or if you have more than two shapes. So I think this next part you should experiment it by yourself, and you will be able to understand it better, that how will it work, rather than just listening to me that okay, this is what happening in this mode and this is what happening in that mode. So yeah, feel free to go ahead and experiment it by yourself. So here I'm gonna close this Pathfinder options and all its operation. So I think we have learned enough about Pathfinder so far, and that's literally all the things you have in Pathfinder panel available. So first of all, let's dock it back into our panel bar, and now I can select all these shapes and press delete to have a clear artboard, and again press Ctrl Alt 2 to unlock our shape and or to unlock our background. And now have your background selected, you can press delete on your keyboard to delete that background. Press Ctrl 0. Oh, I think we have deleted our artboard as well, so press undo over here, and okay, we have our artboard missing, and this happens sometimes because that you will see that your artboard is actually missing. You don't have your artboard anywhere on this canvas. So, or maybe it's just scaled too much. No, it's a canvas actually. So something like this will happen to you. I mean, it might happen to you as well. It has happened to me 2-3 times. The only way is you can just copy all your work and create a new file with the same resolution, and just press Ctrl Shift V so that it places at the same exact same position. Like here, I can just press undo few times till I have my shape at original position here, and now I can press Ctrl Alt 2, Ctrl C or Ctrl Shift V to have it pasted at the same position. Okay, so just delete this shape, and we can close this file as well. This is of no use. Alright, so the next thing we are going to learn now is our brush tool. So to select the brush tool, you can either click on this icon on your toolbar, or the shortcut key for the brush tool will be B. So when you press B on your keyboard, you will select your brush tool. Okay, so the working for the brush tool is really simple. You can just click and drag on your canvas anywhere, and you can see I am creating variety of strokes. So it works exactly like pencil tool. So we have seen pencil tool in our previous videos, where we can just click and drag to create strokes like this, and exactly the same way a brush tool also works. So I mean, some of the functionalities are exactly similar between both these tools. So let's see it now. So I have drawn some strokes over here using my brush tool, and now I'm using the pencil tool over here, and I'm drawing same kind of strokes over here using pencil tool also. Okay, so the only visible difference between these two tools so far I have seen is that this brush stroke has a little wide outline over here. The stroke by default is little wide compared to this, because when I select both these strokes, you can see the stroke width here is 1 point for both of them. But still, our pencil line is giving this thinner lines, or very clear or sharp lines, where it has very thick lines. So that is a visible difference that we have seen so far. So does that mean that we should use brush tool when we need natural wide outlines, or we should use pencil tool when we have we just want some thin outlines? So no, actually that's not the case. I mean, or that's not what we should think about. Let's go into the options and then see, do we have any difference between these two tools. So first, let's double click on this pencil icon, and we will see we have this pencil tool options with us. So we have tolerance and fidelity, smoothness, and we have few options like fill new pencil stroke, keep selected, edit selected path, and we have some within option that if I want to edit a certain path, then how much pixel I mean, what should be the margin around that pixel so that we can edit that path. Okay, so these are all the options we have with pencil tool. Now let's double click on this brush tool, and here if we look at these options, it's exactly the same option we have with pencil tool. There is not even a single difference. Even this reset button, okay, cancel, everything is exactly the same. You can mimic the exact values from pencil tool over here, and you can apply it to brush tool, and both will work the same way. The only visible difference you will get is this thicker strokes with brush tool and this thinner strokes with pencil tool. So should that mean we shouldn't learn brush tool, or should that mean that it's a kind of extra tool in Illustrator? Actually, no. There are advantages of brush tool that are beyond this. This is, you can say, a common functionality between these two tools, but brush tool works more than this. So let us understand that what additional functionality brush tool has. So one thing is that is common between these two. Sorry, I'm covering the common feature again, but I have to address this first. So you can, while drawing any circle, if you want to fill any shape, then by default you have this no fill inside your shape. Either you are either you are drawing with pencil tool or brush tool, it's the same thing. So if you want to fill any shape, you can just double click on this fill and fill any color from here, and here you have your fill color. But again, this is an open shape, so if you want to close your shape by using either of them, I mean the brush tool or the pencil tool, so when you reach to your starting point, you can press Alt on your keyboard, and you can see I have this circle beside my brush now. So when I release my mouse click at this point, I have my shape close automatically. So the same thing works with pencil tool also. Actually, I don't know whether I have covered this part or not, so I'm covering this again so that we don't miss anything in any of the tool. Okay, so while drawing again, while reaching my starting point, I can just press Alt, and I have this circle beside my pencil. So when I release my mouse cursor now, I have this closed shape over here. So again, I can just color them. Okay, so that's how we can have a closed shape and open shape in while using brush tool or pencil tool. Now let's see some advanced options which are only available with brush tool. Okay, so talking about advanced options, we have few options in our option bar above this. So here we have stroke, here we have the width profile, and here we have brush definition. So we can select variety of brush strokes from here. And if you want to open this same properties in a different panel, you can go to window and click on brushes over here. The shortcut key for that would be F5. So yes, anything will work. So here we have our panel opened, and you can see it's exactly the same thing which we opened by clicking on brush definition drop down. So yeah, it's exactly the same thing. You can either have your brush panel open, or you can change all these settings from here. Okay, so let's see how does it work. So we can increase or decrease our brush stroke from here, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, or till any point you want. And then we have this width profile, so we can select any of the width profile. Let's say we will select this first one so that it's thinner at the vertex or at the ends, and very thick at the middle of the line. And we will have 3 point of outline. And here let's just keep brush definition like this only, and we'll see how these two options will work. So when I click and drag this time, so you can see nothing is happening actually. Okay, let me increase my point to 5 point width, and again it's just that my brush stroke got thicker, but I'm not able to see this width profile at all. So that is happening because we don't have any brush definition selected over here. So your width profile and your actually your width profile work a lot on your brush definition. So stroke you can have a 5 point as of now, and here let's first select our width profile this time. So let's select this one. Actually, I don't know will it work with the oval one or not. So let's just try it with oval one, and yeah, it doesn't work with oval. So we can have charcoal feather now. Select the charcoal feather, yeah, charcoal feather, and then select, and now you can notice as soon as I change my brush definition, this width profile and this stroke weight decreases or reset to its default value. So I can go and change these values again to something like this. And now this time when I draw something with my brush, you can see that it is applying both the stroke as well as width profile to my brush stroke. So that is an ideal way to use brush tool. First you select any of the brush definition you want to use. Let's say this one. So we will use mop this time. And again, after that you can go and change your width profile, and after that you can go ahead and change your stroke width or anything. So always work from right to left while using the brush tool. That's just advice. I mean, it's not hard code that's how you should do it, but I use it this way and it works fine with me. Okay, so this time we have selected this kind of brush stroke, and let's apply it this time. So yeah, again, you can see now I have used this mop, but I don't have any width profile over here. So width profile might work with some of these brushes, might not work with some of these brushes. So like it works with charcoal feather, and you are free to experiment with variety of other brush strokes also. So with this it works very fine, and you have this jeans kind of material over here, and whenever you draw something, and it works really fine. Okay, but now you can say that we try to do the same thing using pencil tool also, and it worked really fine. I mean, let me just delete all these things, and let's have our pencil tool, and I'm drawing this kind of stroke over here. Okay, so what if I got this kind of stroke? What I can do is go over here, select this brush definition, select this width profile, and increase weight from here to 6 point, and everything works just fine. I mean, it's exactly the same thing which we have achieved using brush tool. Yes, I agree that you can do something like this using pencil tool also. First of all, there are, again, like I said, there are various ways to achieve same thing. Second of all, if you try to do the same thing, or if you draw another stroke using pencil tool now, you will have your basic strokes again. But with brush tool, once you have this set, and now if you draw again and again, you can get your updated result at the same time. You don't have to select all the strokes and either go to eyedropper tool or set this all settings again. You don't have to do that while using brush tool. So yeah, you can say brush tool is little faster because it preserves all this information, and every time you draw, it just applies directly to that new stroke. Alright, so now let's go to some of the brushes we have over here. So these are the default one which Illustrator provides. Now we can open some new libraries by ourselves. So to open that kind of library, you can click on brush library over here. At the bottom left corner, you have this button. So when you click on this, you will get this drop down. Okay, so when you click on this drop down, you can go to all these submenus, and you can see that you have some custom libraries or some more libraries that are available with you. So let's say we'll go to arrow and arrow special over here, and here we have our library loaded, and it has all sorts of arrow over here. So some are 3D ones, or some are really cartoony and something like this. So let's select this one, and we'll try to draw something. So I have my brush definition selected. Let's select the width profile. I think this one should be fine. So let's go ahead with this one. And for the width, overall width, I think 6 point should be fine. And now let's draw arrow. So you can see how easier it is now. I can just click and drag. Even I can again change my brush to anything. Let's say this time we'll use this 3D one, or this one actually, and here we will use the width profile. 6 point is fine. And now you can see that it's really easy for me to draw something like this. I think we can reduce width to 1 point, and now if we draw, you can see something like this. I can achieve it really easily. And again, you have feel free to experiment with all these libraries, and see which library does what. Like I can okay, this arrow is not visible at all, so just click over here, and now you can see this arrow a bit. Furthermore, we have so many libraries, like we can go over here and go to decorative and go to scatter. So when you select any of these from here, let's say I select this brush and go to select any width profile, and when you draw something, you get this scatter results over here. If you want to create some kind of sparkle, so just it will go along with your stroke. So you have your stroke over here, and it's just a scattered result. Some more libraries like artistic, if you go to, or decorative, you can go to no, not decorative actually, borders. Yeah, in borders you can go to dash ones and all this. Let's say I select something like this, and now let's draw using a brush tool. So you can see I have a line like this, and really cool. I mean, I can experiment with my different width profile, and I'll achieve a result like this. So yeah, this is these all libraries are available with us, and we can use it anytime or any kind of stroke, or when you're using brush tool, you can use all these libraries with you. So does that mean we can use all these libraries only with brush tool? The answer is no, because brush tool even creates this path. So when I draw something, you can see if I press Ctrl Y over here, there is a path behind it. So yeah, if you are able to apply this kind of stroke on a path, that means you will be able to apply on any of the shape you have in Illustrator. So let's create a star tool over here, and okay, so I have a star tool now. I have few borders over here, so I can just click on any of this border and it will be applied to that stroke. And again, I can increase or decrease my width profile, and I can keep it uniform, increase or decrease my overall stroke width, and you will get some kind of result like this. Again, you are free to change it to any design you want, and here you have some really amazing results like this. So you can say that, see here over here, that it's making shapes by itself because there is a hard band over here. So yeah, I mean, you can apply all these brushes to any of the shapes, not only the brush tool. The only advantage brush tool has is whenever you draw something, it will be default stroke to that path, whichever you have just drawn. With other shapes, you have to select them manually and you have to change them, because if you draw it again and again, you will get this default outline every time. Okay, but now where is the implementation of brush tool? Because yeah, there are some kind of brush libraries which we can apply, and brush tool will have them saved, and every time you draw something, it will be applied by default. But there is one additional advantage for the brush tool which other tools, or you can say pencil tools, or all the shape tool doesn't have, and it is actually a library which I really like this library because it is Wacom 6D brushes. Now you will be able to notice its power when you have a tablet with you. If you are drawing with mouse, then you might not be able to get the kind of result that you are expecting. So if you are working with a graphic tablet, then this is a good option, or this is a good library to have to draw something with. Okay, so let's select a brush tool, and I have selected this brush, which is 6D art brush light 45 points. The good thing with this brush is it maintains or it preserves your pressure sensitivity. So when I draw something, you can see this time I'm not pressing really hard with my pen, but when I press really hard, you can see the width of this stroke has changed. And again, I'm pressing really light to reduce my stroke width. Although the difference is not much, but you have a option in Illustrator which will actually preserve, or which will actually listen to your brush sensitivity. Unlike when we're learning about pencil tool, I said that no matter how hard you press with your pen on your graphic tablet, pencil tool won't be addressing your pen pressure. So if you want to register your pen pressure or your strokes on any software, then instead of Illustrator, you should use some other raster-based software like Photoshop or Paint Tools, where you can actually go ahead and sketch. But here we have these brushes which are actually registering our pen pressure. So yeah, that's a good thing. And of course, you will not be able to sketch with by using these brushes, because if you go ahead and try to sketch, yes, I mean, it is addressing your pen pressure, but there's no transparency or opacity control. So yeah, it might be hard to sketch using these brushes. But where you can actually use it is when you are doing some calligraphy or something. Let's say if I type brush tool over here, so let's say, okay, I should write it another way, or we should write something like Illustrator if we write. So So yeah, if you are writing something like this, and if you go ahead and try to find a font which matches like this, you won't be able to find it over the internet. Even if you do, it will take a lot of time to find something like this. So if you want to write something which is your own handwriting and you want a calligraphy kind of look, then you can use this kind of brushes. But again, you need to have a graphic tablet for this one. If you're drawing with mouse, then it will still work, but only thing is it will not register your pen pressure. Okay, so that's the only library I wanted to cover for pressure sensitivity. Now let's see our next tool, which is eraser tool. Okay, to learn eraser tool now, I should have a few shapes with me. So let us create a few shapes over here. Again, rounded rectangles, and we will duplicate it over here and press Ctrl D several times to have something like this. And we will have some kind of fill inside this. So let's fill blue, a little cool color, so that it just looks good, and have a little thicker outline to 2. Okay, now the way eraser tool work is let's first see how can we select this tool. So you can either click on this eraser icon in your toolbar, or you can press Shift E on your keyboard to select the eraser tool. Just a minute, I'll reset some settings over here. Okay, let's make it 0, let's make it 100, and let's see, size is everything fine. Okay, so here we have our eraser tool. Now the way it works is, if you want to erase anything from a particular shape, you can select that shape and now select the eraser tool, and then you can just click and drag on the shape to get something like this. So you can see that, okay, let me just move the shape over here, and now we will click and drag with our eraser tool. So you can see that, okay, this is how eraser tool works. It just erases through my shape, and this is indeed one of the most powerful feature of Illustrator, because uh, not, I mean, so far we haven't seen anything which can just cut through your shapes like this. Yes, we have learned our Pathfinder option, but you need to have a defined shape to subtract or to add something into your existing shape. Here we can just select a eraser tool, and we can just go ahead, draw anything we want in our shape, and our shape will be subtracted to that exact stroke which we have drawn. Okay, so that was that was very interesting, that how can we remove a part of our shape or a part from our shape. Now what if I want to edit two shapes together? Let's say I have these two shapes over here, and if you select these two shapes now and select eraser and try to erase them, so you can see that it erased right through both of these shapes, and now I have all these objects separated. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't restrict you only to one single shape. You are free to use multiple shapes also, two, three, four, any shape you want. And now, since we can edit or we can erase as many shapes I want, so what if I have a complete artwork and then I want to erase something above this whole artwork? Let's say we have this series of boxes over here, and I don't select anything. I haven't selected any of these boxes, and I am just selecting my eraser tool and rubbing through all of these shapes. And here you can see that it has erased, or it has removed some part, or yeah, some part of these shapes from where my stroke has passed through. So if you don't select any shape, then this eraser will remove, or this eraser will erase through all the shapes. So yeah, be careful while using this eraser tool. If you have a background, or if you have multiple objects in your artwork, and if you want to erase only one of them, be sure or make sure that you have that object selected before using the eraser tool. Otherwise you might accidentally erase or remove something from your other shapes also. Okay, now let's delete all the shapes, and we have few of our option in eraser tool. So if you double click, you get this option window for eraser tool. Now we have actually these many operations, or these many options for this eraser, and it is really not I don't know about others, but for me these operations are not very useful, and I don't use them very much. It's just that yes, it is something like this is available in Illustrator, but I haven't figured out the way where we can use it actually, or so far I haven't worked much with eraser tool. If I am going to make any shape, or if I want to remove something from my shape, I directly use Pathfinder or some other tools. It's rarely when I use eraser tool. But anyways, I am just gonna go ahead and cover all these options for you. So we have three properties over here: angle, roundness, and size. So first let's see the roundness. So if you decrease the roundness, you can see that your eraser is being squashed over here. So yeah, you can change the roundness of your eraser from this slider. Now the next thing you have here is angle, which is the first property. So if you move the slider, you can see that how your eraser is rotating. So if you want a eraser like this, if you want a calligraphic eraser, so you can have something like this. And if you want to have a perfect vertical eraser, you can type over the values here, which is 90 degree, and press tab. Again, if you press enter, that values will be applied. So if you want to see changes on this small window over here, press tab instead. And yeah, I mean, if you want to type over values, you can type over here, otherwise you can use the slider. Furthermore, you can just click on this window and drag to change the angle of your eraser. That will also work. Then you have the size option over here. So how this size will work, for that let me just cancel this one first, and we need to have a shape first, so that eraser tool will work. Okay. To change the general size of eraser, you can just use left bracket key or right bracket key. So when using left bracket key, you can decrease the size of your eraser, or when you are using right bracket key, then you can increase the size of your eraser. So bracket keys, by bracket keys I mean square brackets. So the square brackets which are next to P over here. Also, I don't know the layout of your keyboard, but generally those square brackets are beside to your P key and just above enter. So you can change the size of your eraser from there, and after that you can just click and drag to erase anything from your any shape. Okay, so we have seen angle and roundness. Now you can change size of eraser from here also, and it will work perfectly fine. Now after that, you have this three drop down in front of every property. So if I click on any of them, you see that we have few options. One is fixed, then second is random, pressure, stylus wheel, tilt, bearing, rotation. Now all these options, again, I don't use them much. The only option I use is pressure, so we will go to it, and we will see how does it work. So in size, if I go for a pressure one, and now I have an initial size of my eraser, which will be 20 point, and now it's asking me for a variation, that how much variation do you need in size. So let's say I go ahead and type 20. So that means 20, it can go like 20 plus 20 on very high pressures, and 20 minus 20 on very light pressures. So my size can vary now from 0 to 40. So I'll have a zero size of my eraser when I'm pressing really light with my pen pressure, and it will be okay. I think I haven't pressed OK over here, or okay. So I have restarted my Illustrator. There was some problem with my eraser tool, and it was not registering my pen pressure. So what have I done is just restarted my Illustrator, and let's change this values again to 20, and variation should be 20, and press OK. So when I press really light, my eraser should be really thin, and when I press really hard on my keyboard, so you can see the size of my eraser is changing, and once you are done, you have your shape removed or shape selected like this. So yeah, you can see that if you want to create any abstract shape, you can definitely use eraser over here. Let's say if I have a rectangle or a rounded rectangle or anything, let's say ellipse, and I want to make out, I want to make something out of this shape, but I don't know what to make, or I have a rough idea in my head, but I'm not sure how will it work. So yeah, you can just go ahead and use eraser, and you can erase through this shape, and let's say what actually comes up. Let's say if I want to make a kind of hairstyle or something, so yeah, just go ahead like this, and here we can have, yeah, so we have a sort of hairstyle over here. This might not be the exact hairstyle you are looking for, but yeah, we get a rough idea. And after that, you can use your variety of tools or the shape finder, pathfinder and shape modes to create a very precise result out of it. So you can use eraser tool for your rough ideas also, but if you want smooth results also, I haven't used eraser for long, or I don't use it much. So I don't know the exact implementation where we can use it, but you might want, you might be able to figure out a way where you can use your eraser, or you might be able to use it well or better than me as well also. Okay, so we were at the eraser option. So that's how this pressure thing will work. Again, we have few other options here like random. If you select random, then it will select random value from these values, and then it will try to create a stroke which is just having a value or a random value of these two. Okay, then we have the stylus wheel. If you have a stylus with you, then your size will vary according to your stylus wheel. Then this tilt is like if you have a pen pressure which has tilt sensitivity, so your size will change according to your pen pressure tilt. So if it is rightly or if it is perfectly perpendicular to your screen, then it will have some different size. If it is slightly tilted or it is at some different angle, then it will have some other size. So the eraser will have some other size, and the similar thing works with bearing and rotation. So if you have your if you are rotating your stroke, like let's say something like this, let me select brush tool. So if you are rotating like this, then your eraser will also rotate along with it. Now the rotation will work better if you have some kind of roundness in your brush. So now it will rotate along with your stroke. Otherwise, that doesn't make any sense. And the same settings will be applied to angle and roundness. So yeah, feel free to go ahead and experiment all these settings and make a combination, different combination of all the settings and see what kind of result do you get. So I think that's all about Eraser. Now the only thing I'm missing on Illustrator is the kind of options we have in Eraser tool. I wish we could have same kind of options in Brush tool or in Pencil tool also, because that would have made Illustrator a much better software for sketching or creating your ideas from the scratch. If you want to just draw something on Illustrator itself, you don't want to use different software for sketching and all, then you can just sketch everything inside Illustrator itself rather than going to different software. So okay, now I think that's a good time to end our chapter because we have covered quite a lot of things today. So I'm gonna wrap up my video over here, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye for now.